I'm Allison, 32, working as a marketing executive in Boston. Last night at my cousin Emma's 26th birthday celebration at Vincenzo's, I casually asked my Aunt Patricia, "What time should I pick you up for Costco tomorrow?" Her fork paused midway to her mouth. "Oh, weren't you invited? Tomorrow is Madison's wedding. Your parents are obviously coming too." The champagne glass slipped from my fingers, shattering against the table. Everyone fell silent, staring at me with pity. My own sister's wedding, and I hadn't even received a text. That moment, I realized I'd been deliberately excluded from the most important day of Madison's life. Before I dive into this story of family betrayal, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you've ever experienced family drama that left you speechless. Trust me, what happened next will show you exactly why standing up for yourself is always worth it, even when it breaks your heart. Madison and I shared a bedroom for 12 years growing up. Our twin beds stood against opposite walls of our lavender room, a space filled with whispered secrets and occasional sisterly spats. Every summer, we built elaborate forts in our backyard, using Dad's old sheets and Mom's clothespins. We named each one Castle Alexandria, a combination of our middle names. Our father took us on annual sister camping trips to Lake Winnipesaukee, where we'd roast marshmallows and tell ghost stories that always made Madison hide in her sleeping bag. In elementary school, when Jared Thompson pushed Madison off the swings and called her Bucktooth, I marched right up and pushed him back. I got detention, but Madison made me a thank you card with glitter and heart stickers. For 3 consecutive summers, we ran our Madison Alley's spectacular lemonade stand, splitting the profits evenly to buy matching friendship bracelets. Things began to shift in middle school. Madison bloomed socially, her circle of friends expanding while mine remained small but steady. She joined cheerleading. I joined debate club. She became interested in fashion magazines. I buried myself in novels. Despite our diverging interests, we maintained our weekly sister movie nights. Every Friday, we'd alternate choosing films, her romantic comedies versus my psychological thrillers. Madison started borrowing my clothes without asking, returning them with mysterious stains or stretched fabric. When I complained, my parents would say, "Sharing is caring, Allison. Don't be so uptight." The first signs of competition appeared when Madison auditioned for the school play after I mentioned wanting to try out. She got the lead role. I worked backstage. High school amplified our differences. Madison followed me to Westfield High and immediately joined every club I was part of. While I struggled to make the debate team captain through consistent performance, Madison charmed her way to yearbook editor with minimal experience. My academic achievements earned nods of approval from our parents, but they attended every single one of Madison's volleyball games, often missing my debate tournaments due to scheduling conflicts. The boyfriend situation made everything worse. Tyler Johnson and I dated for 6 months my junior year. 2 weeks after we broke up, Madison started seeing him. When I confronted her, she simply said, "He asked me out, not the other way around. It's not my fault he prefers me." My parents suggested I be mature about it and not make things awkward at family dinners. Graduation should have been my moment. I was in line for valedictorian until Madison somehow convinced our English teacher to change her final grade after a tearful office visit. We ended with identical GPAs, but the committee selected Madison to give the speech because of her greater contribution to school spirit. My parents took dozens of photos of Madison in her cap and gown, but only 2 of me. College provided physical distance, but didn't heal our relationship. I left for Northwestern while Madison stayed in state. During my first Thanksgiving home, I discovered half my bedroom had been converted into Madison's study space. My posters were gone, my bookshelf relocated to the basement. Mom said they assumed I wouldn't mind since I wasn't using it anymore. Madison eventually followed my career path into marketing, though she focused on social media, while I specialized in campaign strategy. We both applied for internships at Johnson and Reynolds during my senior year. I spent weeks perfecting my portfolio. Madison submitted hers at the last minute. We both got called for interviews, but only Madison received an offer. Years later, I learned she'd mentioned our father's golf connection with the hiring manager. As adults living in Boston, our relationship consisted mostly of obligatory family gatherings. I tried arranging sister lunches, but Madison was perpetually swamped with work or just about to go out of town. Her Instagram told a different story: brunches with friends, often at the very restaurants I'd suggested for our meetings. 3 years ago came the incident that fundamentally altered our relationship. I was developing an innovative campaign strategy for ethical clothing manufacturers, something truly groundbreaking in the industry. During a rare sister dinner, I excitedly shared my ideas with Madison, seeking her feedback. She seemed enthusiastic, asking detailed questions and taking notes for reference. 2 weeks later, at the New England Marketing Association conference, Madison presented my entire strategy as her own work. Her presentation used my research, my slides, even my exact phrasing in some places. She received an industry award and subsequent promotion. When confronted, she claimed we'd brainstormed together and she'd simply developed the ideas further. The client I'd been courting signed with her firm instead. My boss questioned my originality, and my promotion was delayed by 18 months. When I tried explaining this to our parents, my father dismissed it as healthy workplace competition while my mother suggested I was remembering things incorrectly. They insisted I should let it go for the sake of family harmony. That was the moment I realized our sisterly bond had never been equal, and perhaps never real at all. Emma's birthday celebration took place at Vincenzo's, a high-end Italian restaurant with crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths. Our extended family occupied a long table in the private dining section, uncles, aunts, and cousins chatting over antipasto platters and wine. Emma sat at the head of the table, wearing a sparkly birthday girl tiara, opening gifts between courses. Champagne flowed freely as relatives toasted her quarter-century milestone. Aunt Patricia, my mother's sister, sat beside me in a navy blue dress, her silver-streaked hair freshly styled. Throughout dinner, conversations flowed around career updates, relationship status changes, and vacation plans. My cousin Becca proudly showed off her engagement ring, prompting wedding planning discussions that seemed to cause peculiar glances between family members. "We're thinking about a destination wedding in Cancun," Becca said. "What do you think, Allison? You always have good travel tips." "Sounds amazing," I replied. "Just give everyone plenty of notice. I need to request time off at least 2 months in advance." Uncle Robert suddenly became intensely interested in his pasta, while Emma exchanged a look with my cousin Tyler. An uncomfortable silence fell until Aunt Patricia changed the subject to her recent kitchen renovation. The strange tension continued whenever I mentioned any upcoming plans. As dessert was served, tiramisu for the birthday girl and chocolate soufflés for everyone else, I turned to Aunt Patricia. "What time should I pick you up for Costco tomorrow? I need to get there when they open to grab that office Cherry talked about." Her fork, loaded with soufflé, stopped midway to her mouth. Her eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "Oh, weren't you invited? Tomorrow is Madison's wedding. Your parents are obviously coming too." The champagne glass slipped from my fingers, shattering against the table. Conversation ceased instantly. All eyes turned to me, expressions ranging from shock to pity to discomfort. Madison's wedding? The words felt foreign in my mouth. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. A cold sweat broke out across my forehead. The restaurant's ambient noise seemed to fade away, leaving only a high-pitched ringing in my ears. "Oh dear," Aunt Patricia whispered, placing her hand over mine. "I thought you knew." My cousin Emma stared fixedly at her dessert. Uncle Robert cleared his throat repeatedly. Across the table, my 13-year-old cousin Lily asked loudly, "Why isn't Allison invited to Aunt Madison's wedding?" Her mother shushed her immediately. I maintained my composure through sheer force of will. "Where's the venue?" I asked, my voice sounding distant even to myself. "Lakeside Gardens," Aunt Patricia replied cautiously. "The ceremony's at 2, reception immediately following." "I see." I nodded mechanically. "And when did Jason propose?" "About 8 months ago, I believe. Right after New Year's." 8 months. My sister had been engaged for 8 months without telling me. It's going to be beautiful, my cousin Becca added, perhaps trying to defuse the tension. 150 guests. Madison found this gorgeous Vera Wong dress. Your parents are walking her down the aisle together. All the cousins are bridesmaids, Emma mumbled, still not meeting my eyes. That explained the matching lavender dresses I'd spotted on their Instagram accounts. I'd assumed they were for a sorority function. Excuse me, I said, pushing back my chair. Restroom. In the elegant bathroom with its marble countertops and fresh flower arrangements, I locked myself in a stall and silently let tears fall. I checked my email, my text messages, even my physical mailbox app. Nothing. No invitation, no save the date, not even a courtesy heads up from my own parents. I texted my best friend Rachel. Did you know Madison is getting married tomorrow? Her response came immediately. Oh God. You found out. I'm so sorry, Allie. I wanted to tell you, but she made everyone promise not to. Everyone. Everyone knew, except me. I splashed cold water on my face, reapplied my makeup, and returned to the table with a fabricated smile. Sorry about that. Just got an urgent work email. I glanced at my watch. Actually, I need to handle this emergency. Emma, happy birthday again. So sorry to dash out early. As I grabbed my purse, Aunt Patricia squeezed my arm gently. Allison, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. Perhaps your invitation was lost in the mail. We both knew that wasn't true. I drove straight to my parents' suburban home in Lexington, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. My mind raced with questions and accusations. How could they? What possible justification could they have? Had I truly meant so little to them all these years? I rehearsed what I would say, trying different approaches, angry, hurt, coldly logical. None seemed adequate for the magnitude of this betrayal. As I turned onto Maple Street, where I'd grown up, childhood memories flooded back with each familiar landmark, the park where Madison and I played, the ice cream shop where we celebrated report cards, the community center where we took swimming lessons together. Their driveway was occupied by Dad's SUV and Mom's sedan, both packed with what were clearly wedding items. Through the front window, I could see Mom's special occasion dress, pale blue with silver beading, hanging on the coat rack, ready for tomorrow. I knocked rather than using my key. My mother answered, her hair in curlers, surprise evident on her face. Allison, what are you doing here, honey? Can I come in? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Of course, she stepped aside. Your father and I were just finishing some last-minute wedding preparations. Would you like some tea? My father sat at the kitchen table, organizing what appeared to be seating cards. He glanced up briefly, then returned to his task, occasionally checking his phone. No tea, thanks. I remained standing, not wanting to settle in. I just came from Emma's birthday dinner. Mom busied herself adjusting flower arrangements on the counter. Oh, how nice. Was it a good celebration? It was enlightening, I said. Aunt Patricia mentioned Madison's wedding. Tomorrow. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom's hands froze mid-arrangement. Dad set down his pen. Allison, Mom finally said, we were respecting Madison's wishes. Her wishes, I repeated. Her wish to exclude her only sister from her wedding day. And you both went along with that. Dad cleared his throat. It's complicated, Allison. Madison felt it would be uncomfortable, given your history. Our history? You mean her stealing my campaign strategy and never apologizing? Or the dozen other times she's undermined me while you both looked the other way? That's not fair, Mom protested, her voice rising slightly. We've always treated you girls equally. I laughed, a hollow sound. Equal? Like the time Madison got a car for her 16th birthday and I got a gift card? Or how you attended every single one of her volleyball games but made it to exactly 2 of my debate tournaments in 4 years? Or maybe you mean equally as in converting half my bedroom before I'd even finished my first semester of college? You're exaggerating, Dad said, his jaw tightening. We've supported both your endeavors. Have you? I pulled out my phone, scrolling to photos I'd kept from 3 years ago. Here's my original campaign presentation. And here's Madison's, presented 2 weeks later. Notice anything similar? Oh, right. They're identical except for the cover page. Business is competitive, Dad dismissed. You're probably remembering it wrong. Richard, Mom placed a hand on his arm. Maybe we should listen. No, Elizabeth. I'm not going to stand here and be accused of favoritism by my own daughter. His face reddened. Madison has always needed more support. She's more sensitive than you. You've always been independent, able to handle things on your own. So, I get punished for being resilient? My voice cracked. Madison steals my work, costs me a major client, and delays my promotion, and your response is that she's sensitive? Mom dabbed at tears forming in her eyes. We just want peace in the family, Allison. Madison was worried you might cause a scene or try to overshadow her day. Have I ever, even once in my life, tried to overshadow Madison? When has that ever happened? I challenged. Neither could provide an example. The truth is, I continued, you've always preferred Madison. You've enabled her manipulative behavior. You've taught her that she can do whatever she wants to me with zero consequences. That's enough. Dad stood up. If you're just here to attack us and your sister, you can leave. Madison is getting married tomorrow, and we won't let you ruin this for her. Mom reached toward me, her expression softening. Honey, if you want to come to the wedding, I'm sure we could work something out. Just promise to be on your best behavior and not bring up any of this unpleasantness. That was the moment everything crystallized. The condescension in her tone, the implication that I was the problem. It laid bare 32 years of dysfunctional family dynamics. I don't want to come to the wedding, I said quietly. What I wanted was to be valued as a daughter and sister. What I wanted was the truth instead of manipulation. What I wanted was respect, not as an afterthought, but as a fundamental right. I walked to the door, turning back one last time. Enjoy the wedding. I hope someday you realize what you've sacrificed in always protecting Madison from the consequences of her actions. The door closed behind me with a finality that felt symbolic. Something had ended, but something else, my refusal to accept scraps of family affection, had just begun. After leaving my parents' house, I drove aimlessly through familiar neighborhoods. Streetlights blurred through my tears as I navigated without destination. Eventually, I found myself at Prospect Hill Park, a scenic overlook where Madison and I had once watched meteor showers as teenagers. I parked and let the emotions overtake me. Sobs racked my body as 32 years of accumulated hurt poured out. The dashboard clock read 11:43 p.m., less than 15 hours until my sister would walk down the aisle without me. My phone vibrated repeatedly, Rachel calling, a text from Emma apologizing, notifications from social media. Nothing from my parents. Nothing from Madison. As the horizon swallowed the last remnants of sunset, it felt symbolic of this chapter of my family relationship coming to an end. Memories of Madison's preferential treatment flooded my mind. Her lavish Sweet 16 party with professional decorations and a hired DJ, compared to my forgotten birthday when Mom and Dad were attending Madison's volleyball tournament in Connecticut. The time they contributed $20,000 toward Madison's college tuition while telling me to take out loans like most students because funds were tight. Christmas after Christmas of Madison receiving exactly what she requested while I received practical items or generic gifts that showed little thought. There was the time Madison's art show coincided with my marketing award ceremony. Our parents attended her event without hesitation, telling me they'd try to make it to mine if it didn't run too late. They never showed. And then there were the family photos, Madison consistently placed front and center, me often positioned at the edge, sometimes partially cropped out when the photos were framed. Around 1 a.m, Rachel called again, and this time I answered. "Oh, thank God," she said. "I've been worried sick about you. Did you know?" I asked, my voice raw. "About the wedding?" A heavy pause. "Yes," she admitted. "Madison told me 3 months ago, but made me swear not to tell you. She said she'd uninvite me if I breathed a word." The betrayal extended even to my best friend. Why would you agree to that? I was caught in an impossible position, Allie. I argued with her about it for weeks. I told her it was cruel and unnecessary. But she threatened to tell everyone you'd tried to sabotage her relationship if I didn't go along with it. And you believed she'd do that? After what she did with your marketing campaign? Absolutely. Rachel sighed. The weddings at Lakeside Gardens. 150 guests, including people from your office. All the cousins are bridesmaids in lavender. Your parents are walking her down the aisle together. Jason's best man is his brother Kevin. How detailed was this conversation about not inviting me? I asked, a new realization dawning. Very detailed. She had reasons prepared, counterarguments for every scenario. It wasn't impulsive, Allie. She planned this exclusion carefully. Does Jason know about me? Her fiancé has never even met her only sister. I don't know. I've only met him once, briefly. Rachel paused. Do you want me to come over? You shouldn't be alone right now. No, I said. I need space to process this. But thank you. After hanging up, I found myself searching Instagram for Madison's wedding hashtag. It didn't take long to find hashtag Madison and Jason forever. There they were, bridal shower photos from 2 months ago. All our female relatives gathered around Madison as she opened gifts. Bachelorette party pictures from 3 weeks back, with cousins I'd grown up with raising champagne glasses. A rehearsal dinner post from just hours ago. Madison's personal page featured a post from 6 days earlier. So blessed to be surrounded by only positive people as I prepare for my special day. Sometimes you need to keep toxic relationships away to protect your happiness. The comments were filled with supportive messages from relatives and friends. So true. You deserve all the happiness. Proud of you for setting boundaries.
They were talking about me.
My sister had cast me as the villain in her narrative, and everyone had accepted it without question. Scrolling back 8 months, I found the engagement announcement. Madison showing off a large diamond ring, our parents beaming beside her. 347 likes. I hadn't even known she was dating someone seriously. Digging deeper, I discovered a post on Madison's lifestyle blog titled, Navigating Difficult Sister Relationships. In it, she described growing up with an extremely competitive sister who couldn't handle not being the center of attention. She detailed fictional incidents of my jealousy and attempts to undermine her success. She positioned herself as the perpetual victim who finally found the strength to create necessary distance for my mental health. The comment section was filled with sympathy from people who'd never met me but felt entitled to judge. Blood doesn't always mean family. You're brave for setting boundaries. Some people are just toxic by nature. Most painful were the edited family photos, old pictures where I'd been cropped out entirely, leaving only Madison and our parents, presented as a perfect family of 3 rather than 4. By 3 in the morning, I found myself sitting on Carson Beach, watching moonlight reflect off the harbor waters. The emotional spiral had taken me from shock to grief to rage, and finally to a hollow emptiness. Was this really what family was worth? Decades of diminishment, culminating in total exclusion from one of the most significant events in my sister's life? As waves rhythmically washed ashore, my breathing gradually synchronized with their pattern. Each breath drew in clarity, each exhale released confusion. By dawn's first light, the emotional storm had cleared enough for one truth to emerge. I deserved better than this. Better than being erased. Better than being vilified. Better than being gaslit about my own experiences. I couldn't control Madison's actions or my parents' choices. But I could stand in my truth, with dignity intact. As the sun broke over the horizon, I made my decision. I would not hide away in shame. I would not accept the role of villain in Madison's self-serving narrative. And I would not let this wound fester unaddressed. The path forward wasn't about revenge or creating a scene. It was about honesty, painful but necessary honesty. As I drove home to shower and change, a plan began forming in my mind. Back in my apartment, I brewed strong coffee and took out a notebook. I needed a strategic approach to this situation, emotional but not impulsive. I listed my options. 1. Do nothing, stay home, process privately. 2. Create a public scene at the wedding. 3. Confront Madison before the ceremony. 4. Appear at reception only, calm but visible. 5. Speak my truth briefly, then leave with dignity. For each option, I noted potential consequences. Option 1 meant accepting Madison's narrative about me. Options 2 and 3 risked validating her claims about my toxic behavior. Option 5 felt most aligned with my values. Honesty without malice, visibility without drama. I needed insider information about the wedding timeline. Around 9 in the morning, I called Lauren Thompson, Madison's maid of honor. Lauren and I had always gotten along well, despite being primarily Madison's friend. Allison. She answered, clearly surprised. Good morning. Hi, Lauren. I know this is awkward, but I need to ask you something important. A pause. You know about the wedding. Found out last night. From my aunt. At a family dinner. Oh, God. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I'm so sorry, Allison. I wanted to tell you, but Madison made everyone promise. I understand your position, I said, meaning it. I'm not calling to put you in the middle. I just need some information. What kind of information? Her tone was cautious but not hostile. What time is the ceremony? When's the best time to speak to Madison without creating a scene? Is there security at the venue? Lauren hesitated. What are you planning? Nothing dramatic. I just need 5 minutes to speak my truth, then I'll leave. No scene. No disruption to her day. Another long pause. The ceremony is at 2. Reception starts at 3 with cocktail hour while they take photos. They're doing a first look at noon, so Madison will be fully dressed and ready by then. She took a deep breath. There's no formal security, but Jason's brothers are playing that role unofficially. They'll be watching for wedding crashers. Madison specifically mentioned you. That stung, but it wasn't surprising. Is there a side entrance I could use? I don't want to walk through the main doors. Yes, through the garden path on the east side. I can meet you there at 2:30 during cocktail hour when everyone's mingling and Madison is taking family photos. Thank you, Lauren. I know this puts you in a difficult position. For what it's worth, she said quietly, several of us disagreed with her decision to exclude you. It wasn't unanimous support, despite what she might believe. After hanging up, I faced my next challenge, what to wear. I wanted to look appropriate and dignified, not attention-seeking but also not diminished. At a small boutique that had just opened, I found the perfect dress, an elegant navy blue sheath with subtle lace detailing. Navy, Madison's least favorite color, which she claimed washed her out, but which had always suited my darker complexion. The saleswoman helped me accessorize with simple pearl earrings and a matching bracelet. Special occasion? She asked cheerfully. A family reconciliation, I said, which wasn't entirely untrue. I spent an hour doing my makeup, natural but polished, nothing that could be perceived as trying to outshine the bride. I styled my hair in soft waves rather than my usual straight corporate look. This wasn't about looking better than Madison. It was about looking like my authentic self. Throughout the morning, I practiced what I would say. Brief, honest, dignified. No accusations, just my experience. I role-played potential scenarios with Rachel via FaceTime, preparing for reactions ranging from Madison's rage to my parents' interference. Remember your breathing techniques, Rachel advised. 4 counts in, hold for 7, out for 8. Keep your voice steady, and make eye contact. The minute you feel yourself losing control, that's your cue to exit. I wrote out boundaries for myself on index cards and saved them as notes in my phone. 1. I will not raise my voice. 2. I will not respond to provocations. 3. I will not apologize for feelings that are valid. 4. I will leave immediately if anyone becomes aggressive. 5. I will remember my worth does not depend on their validation. The evening before the wedding, I found myself looking through old photo albums. Behind the forced smiles and carefully curated poses were occasional glimpses of genuine connection, Madison and me building sandcastles at Cape Cod, making snow angels in the backyard, holding hands on the first day of school. Had those moments been real? Or had I imagined the closeness I thought we once shared? I wrote Madison a letter I didn't plan to deliver, pouring out 32 years of complicated emotions, love, hurt, anger, disappointment, and underneath it all, a persistent hope that someday things could be different. Writing it was cathartic, even if she would never read it. Rachel called one last time before bed. "Are you sure about this? It's not too late to change your mind." "I'm sure," I said. "This isn't about revenge. It's about refusing to be erased from my own family story." "I'm proud of you," she said. "Call me the second you leave, okay? I'll have ice cream and wine ready." I set 3 alarms to ensure I'd wake on time, though sleep proved elusive. Around 5 in the morning, I finally drifted off, dreaming of 2 little girls in a backyard fort, promising to be best friends forever. Wedding day dawned sunny and mild, perfect weather for lakeside gardens, outdoor ceremony space. I woke feeling strangely calm, with a clarity that had eluded me during yesterday's emotional turbulence. After a 3-mile run to clear my head, I showered and began the methodical process of preparation. Each element of my appearance felt like donning armor: moisturizer, foundation, mascara, lipstick, navy dress, pearl earrings, nude heels. I studied my reflection, recognizing the strength in my eyes that had always been there, but had sometimes been dimmed by family dynamics. I ordered a rideshare to arrive at 2:15, allowing time to compose myself before meeting Lauren. As I stood in my doorway, purse in hand, a moment of hesitation struck. Was I making a mistake? Would this make anything better? I took a deep breath and stepped forward. Some truths needed to be spoken, even if only once, even if only for myself. Lakeside Gardens lived up to its name, a stunning venue with manicured lawns sloping down to a sparkling lake. White chairs were arranged in neat rows facing an elaborate floral arch. Guests in summer finery were already being seated by ushers in gray suits with lavender ties. I instructed my driver to stop a block away, not wanting to attract attention at the main entrance where I could see what must be Jason's brothers checking invitations. Following Lauren's instructions, I walked along a tree-lined path that curved around to the east side of the property. Lauren was waiting as promised, elegant in her lavender bridesmaid's dress, nervously checking her phone. "You came," she whispered when she saw me. "You look beautiful, Allie." "Thank you for meeting me," I said. "Is everything going according to schedule?" She nodded. "Ceremony just ended. They're starting photos by the lake. Cocktail hour is in the garden terrace." I told the others I needed to check on the appetizer situation. Lauren guided me through a side entrance that led past the kitchen, where catering staff were too busy to notice us. We slipped into the main building, emerging into a spectacular reception hall decorated with white roses and lavender accents. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the lake. Along the entry hallway, photos of Madison and Jason documented their relationship: hiking trips, holiday celebrations, beach vacations. Interspersed were family photos: Madison with our parents, Madison with cousins, Madison with grandparents. I was conspicuously absent from every image, as if I'd never existed. Lauren positioned me behind a massive floral arrangement where I could observe without being immediately noticed. Guests mingled with champagne flutes, congratulating each other as if they'd accomplished something by witnessing a ceremony. I spotted extended family members: Uncle Robert adjusting his bow tie, Aunt Patricia dabbing at emotional tears, cousins posing for selfies. Through the window, I could see Madison in her white Vera Wang gown, radiant as she posed with our parents by the lakeside. Mom was fixing her veil, while Dad beamed proudly. The photographer directed them through various poses: serious, smiling, candid. Jason stood nearby with his groomsmen, tall and handsome in a traditional tuxedo. So this was the man my sister was marrying, a complete stranger to me. He laughed at something his best man said, looking every bit the happy groom. Studying Madison from a distance, I noticed subtle changes in her body language when different people approached. With our parents, she was slightly rigid, performative. With her bridesmaids, more relaxed but still calculated. Only with Jason did she seem genuinely at ease, her smile reaching her eyes. "Are you ready?" Lauren whispered. "They'll be coming in for the grand entrance in about 20 minutes. I nodded, gathering my courage. As ready as I'll ever be. As I moved from my hiding spot, Emma was the first to spot me. Her champagne glass froze halfway to her lips, her eyes widening in shock. Uncle Robert deliberately turned his back when he noticed me, while Aunt Patricia gave a sad little wave from across the room. Allison, Mrs. Winters, our old family friend, approached with a warm smile. "How lovely to see you. Wasn't the ceremony beautiful?" She had no idea I hadn't been invited. How many others assumed I'd simply been seated elsewhere or missed the ceremony for legitimate reasons. My college friend Jenna appeared next, confusion evident on her face. "Allie, I was looking for you during the ceremony. Why weren't you in the bridal party with the other family members?" Before I could respond, Aunt Patricia intercepted, whispering urgently, "Allison, perhaps this isn't the best time. Consider the day." My 13-year-old cousin Lily had no such reservations. She bounded over, hugging me tightly. "Allison, I saved you a macaron from the dessert table. The pink ones are the best." Lauren touched my elbow, her expression tense. "She's coming. Are you sure about this?" I nodded, my resolve firm. The double doors opened, and Madison entered in her wedding gown, surrounded by bridesmaids. She was laughing at something one of them said, her face glowing with bridal happiness, until she saw me. Her expression froze, joy instantly replaced by shock. Time seemed to suspend as our eyes locked across the room. The ambient chatter diminished as guests sensed the sudden tension. Madison whispered something to a bridesmaid, who immediately headed toward one of Jason's brothers. He began moving purposefully in my direction, security duty activated. Jason himself appeared at Madison's side, his hand protectively on her back as he assessed the situation. Before he could reach me, Lauren stepped between us. "Jason, wait. Just give them a minute." My father materialized from the crowd, his face thunderous. "Allison, this is completely inappropriate. You need to leave right now." "Dad," I said calmly, "I just need 5 minutes. Then I'll go." "Absolutely not. This is your sister's day, and you're trying to ruin it." Lauren surprised me by standing her ground. "Mr. Edwards, please. Let them talk for just a few minutes." Guests had formed a loose circle around us, uncomfortable witnesses to family drama on what should have been a purely celebratory occasion. Madison finally spoke, her voice carrying in the awkward silence. "It's okay, Dad." She looked at Jason, who seemed uncertain but gave a slight nod. 5 minutes, Madison said. "That's all." My father began to protest, but Jason gently led him away. "Let's give them some space, sir." I was acutely aware of the guests watching, some overtly curious, others pretending not to stare while catching every word. This was not how I'd planned this moment, but it was the moment I had. "First," I said, my voice clear and steady, "I want to acknowledge that this is inappropriate timing, and I apologize to everyone for that. I only learned about this wedding last night, and this was my only opportunity." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Madison, I want to sincerely congratulate you on your marriage. Jason seems like a wonderful man, and you make a beautiful bride. I wish I could have known him before today, but I respect your choice." Madison's expression remained guarded, but I noticed her shoulders relaxing slightly. "I'm not here to make accusations or create drama. I'm here because I couldn't accept being erased from this family milestone without at least speaking my truth. We grew up building forts together, having sister movie nights, protecting each other. Somewhere along the way, that changed." I paused, maintaining eye contact with Madison. "I've spent years trying to understand what happened between us. Maybe we both contributed to the distance. Maybe we both could have tried harder. But being excluded from your wedding without even a conversation, that hurt in ways I can't fully express." My voice wavered slightly, but I steadied it with a deep breath. I'm not asking to stay for your reception or to be retroactively included in your bridal party. I just needed you to see me, to acknowledge that I exist, that I'm still your sister despite everything. Madison's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide the emotion crossing her face. Anger, guilt, confusion. I hope your marriage brings you happiness, Madison. I hope someday we might find a way back to some version of sisterhood. Either way, I wish you well, truly. I turned to the uncomfortable guests. I apologize for the interruption. Please continue celebrating this beautiful occasion. As I prepared to leave with what dignity I could muster, Madison suddenly spoke. Wait. She looked at Jason, some unspoken communication passing between them. He nodded and gestured toward a small antechamber off the main reception hall. Can we talk? Madison asked. Just for a minute. Privately. Our parents immediately moved toward us, but Jason intercepted them. Let's give them some space. The photographer wants family photos by the fountain. But, Mom began. Elizabeth, Jason said firmly, they need this. Trust me. As Madison and I moved toward the private room, I heard the wedding planner's voice rising above the murmurs. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your cocktails. The reception will formally begin in 15 minutes. The antechamber was small but elegant, with a velvet settee and delicate side tables. Madison carefully arranged her voluminous gown as she sat, looking suddenly young and vulnerable despite her bridal finery. An awkward silence stretched between us. Finally, Madison spoke, her voice tight with emotion. Why did you come here today? To humiliate me on my wedding day? I shook my head. If I wanted humiliation, I would have interrupted your ceremony or created a scene during your first dance. I came because I needed to speak my truth, that excluding your only sister from your wedding was deeply hurtful. You wouldn't have approved of my choices anyway, she countered. You never do. How would you know? You never gave me the chance. I kept my voice level. Madison, when was the last time I criticized your choices? When have I ever tried to overshadow you or make your moments about me? She opened her mouth, then closed it, unable to provide an example. The truth is, I continued, I've spent most of our lives trying to avoid upsetting you. I've stepped back, kept quiet, made myself smaller to accommodate your need for attention and validation. That's not true, she protested, but without conviction. You were always the smart one, the responsible one. Mom and Dad were always comparing me to you. And yet they attended all your events, celebrated all your achievements, while treating mine as afterthoughts. Madison stared at her elaborate manicure. I always felt like I was living in your shadow. You had everything figured out, good grades, clear goals, perfect self-control. Do you know how hard it is to follow someone like that? So, you decided to exclude me from your wedding? After taking my marketing campaign and never acknowledging it. Her face flushed. I didn't steal your campaign. I was inspired by our conversation and developed the concepts further. Madison, I said quietly, you used my slides. Verbatim. With my client research that took months to compile. She had the grace to look ashamed. I was desperate for that promotion. My boss had threatened to put me on performance review. You could have asked for my help. That's what sisters do. They help each other. Tears welled in her eyes, threatening her perfect makeup. I didn't think you'd help me. Not really. You always seemed so self-sufficient. Like you didn't need anyone, especially not me. I made myself self-sufficient because I learned early that I couldn't count on the support you received. The words came out more harshly than intended. I softened my tone. I'm not here to litigate our entire childhood. I just wanted you to know that excluding me hurt, and that despite everything, I would have been there for you today if you'd asked. Madison dabbed carefully at her eyes. What do you want from me, Allison? An apology? It's my wedding day. I don't expect anything today. I just couldn't let this moment pass without speaking my truth. What happens next is up to you. I stood, smoothing my navy dress. I should let you get back to your reception. As I reached for the door, Madison spoke again. After the honeymoon, when we get back, maybe we could talk. Really talk about everything. It wasn't an apology, but it was an opening. I'd like that, I said. I didn't think you'd care, she admitted in a small voice. About not being invited. You've seemed so distant lately. I've always cared, Madison. That's why it hurt so much. She nodded, a complicated mix of emotions crossing her face. Thank you for not disrupting the ceremony. Jason says that shows character.
He seems like a good man.
I hope he makes you happy. He does, she said, and for the first time, her smile seemed genuine. He challenges me to be better. He actually reminded me of you sometimes, the way he holds boundaries. Before leaving, I reached out and briefly squeezed her hand, our first physical contact in over a year. Congratulations, Madison. I mean that. As I walked through the reception hall toward the exit, guests pretended not to stare. Lauren gave me a subtle thumbs up from across the room. My parents, returning from photos, stopped short when they saw me emerging from the antechamber with Madison. I acknowledged them with a simple nod, but didn't approach. Jason intercepted me near the door. Allison, right? I'm sorry we had to meet under these circumstances. So am I. I replied honestly. Madison has told me some things about your relationship. I suspect there are other perspectives to the story. His direct gaze suggested more insight than I'd expected. There usually are. She's lucky to have a sister who cares enough to show up, even when it's difficult. I smiled slightly. Take care of her, Jason. Despite everything, she's still my sister. Rachel had offered to pick me up, but I declined, preferring the solitude of a quiet ride home. As I waited for my driver, I slipped off the pearl bracelet, a family heirloom from our grandmother that I'd been saving for a special occasion. I wrote a quick note on the small gift card from my purse. Congratulations. May your marriage be blessed with honesty and understanding. Love, Allison. I handed it to a server with instructions to deliver it to the bride after the first dance. Then I took one last look at the elegant venue, the celebration continuing without me, and walked away with my dignity intact. The next day was Sunday, and I spent it in quiet reflection. Rachel came over with ice cream and pizza, a combination we'd favored since college during emotional crises. She listened as I recounted the conversation with Madison, offering neither judgment nor false reassurance. It's going to take time, she said. 32 years of patterns don't change in one conversation. My parents called repeatedly, but I let their attempts go to voicemail, needing space to process. Lauren texted updates about the reception, the cake cutting, the father-daughter dance, Madison wearing my pearl bracelet during the bouquet toss. I took Monday and Tuesday off work, using the time to practice self-care and begin researching family therapists. I found Dr. Eleanor Fraser, who specialized in adult sibling relationships and family systems. Her earliest available appointment was 3 weeks out, but I booked it, committed to understanding my role in our dysfunctional patterns. 5 days after the wedding, while Madison was honeymooning in Bali, a text message appeared on my phone. I've been thinking about what you said. You're right that I should have at least told you myself. I'm sorry for how I handled it. Can we talk when I get back? It wasn't a comprehensive apology, but it was a start. I replied simply, yes, I'd like that. Safe travels. 2 weeks later, we met at a neutral coffee shop halfway between our apartments. The initial awkwardness gradually eased as we ordered drinks and found a quiet corner table. Madison brought wedding photos, including several showing my pearl bracelet prominently displayed. It was Grandma's favorite, she said. It meant a lot that you gave it to me. She always said it should be worn on important days, I replied. We cautiously began rebuilding our relationship, sharing childhood memories from our different perspectives. I was surprised to learn how differently she had experienced events I thought were clear-cut. She seemed equally surprised by my recollections. I never knew you felt that way, became a common refrain from both of us. We agreed to attend a joint therapy session with Dr. Fraser, which was challenging but productive. Madison acknowledged her pattern of competition and appropriation. I recognized my tendency to withdraw rather than communicate hurt. We established boundaries and expectations moving forward, no easy fixes, but a framework for healthier interaction. With our parents, progress came more slowly. They resisted acknowledging their role in our dysfunctional dynamic until Dr. Fraser facilitated a particularly difficult family session 3 months after the wedding. Dad finally admitted his differential treatment, while Mom tearfully recognized how our conflict avoidance had enabled toxic patterns. By Madison's 1-year anniversary, our family had transformed in ways I never thought possible. We weren't perfect. Old habits occasionally resurfaced, requiring conscious correction. But we were communicating honestly for perhaps the first time in our adult lives. The Thanksgiving gathering that year was the first family holiday I actually enjoyed rather than endured. Madison and I prepared the meal together, laughing over botched recipes and creating new traditions. When she announced her pregnancy at the dinner table, her hand reached for mine across the table, a silent acknowledgement that I would be part of her child's life from the beginning. Standing up for myself at the wedding had been terrifying but necessary. It broke a lifelong pattern of silence and accommodation that had allowed dysfunction to flourish. By speaking my truth with dignity rather than revenge, I created an opening for authentic relationship, not the fantasy sisterhood of childhood, but something real, flawed, and ultimately more valuable. True healing isn't about forgetting past hurts or pretending they never happened. It's about acknowledging pain, speaking truth, and choosing connection over resentment when the other person meets you halfway. It's ongoing work, not a magical resolution. I still maintain clear boundaries with my family. I've learned that love doesn't require sacrificing self-respect, and that genuine relationships can only be built on honesty, even when that honesty is uncomfortable. What's your experience with family dynamics? Have you ever had to stand up for yourself with someone you love? Drop a comment below and share your story. It might help someone else find the courage to speak their truth. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories about relationships, boundaries, and growth. Hit that like button if this resonated with you, and share with someone who might need to hear that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential for authentic connection. Thank you for being part of this journey with me.